Hi, welcome to the Crypto Republic. Before we dive in, if you're serious about staying ahead in this once-in-a-lifetime financial shift, make sure you like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe to the Republic. This is where we break down the insider moves, the market mechanics, and the truth about XRP that nobody else is telling you. Stay informed, stay early. You know those rare moments when a single broadcast feels like it changes the game? When you can feel history being rewritten in real time? That's exactly what just happened. A major announcement went live on air and it sent shockwaves through the financial world. We're talking about XRP, Ripple, and the future of the entire money system as we know it. This isn't just speculation anymore. This was a broadcast that every major bank, regulator, and investor is now dissecting because the message was crystal clear. The next era of finance has already begun, and XRP is sitting right at the center of it. Let's break this down. During a televised interview this week, one of the most powerful financial voices in America went live and declared something we've all been waiting to hear. Digital assets are not just another trend. They are now officially part of the global financial architecture. And here's the part that caught everyone off guard. She didn't say all crypto. She said specific assets, the ones built for scale, efficiency, and global adoption. And right after that, XRP named directly as part of that short list. Let that sink in for a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Out of the thousands of coins, only a handful made it onto the stage of this broadcast. And XRP wasn't just mentioned, it was positioned as essential. All right, let's get back into this story because here's the real truth of this. This broadcast didn't happen in isolation. Just hours later, another clip started circulating. A well-known political figure stood at the center of a podium and said this at a conference. Digital assets will define America's economic future. And if we don't take ownership, another nation will beat us to the point. That's not some fringe idea anymore. Let's talk about mainstream policy now. That's mainstream policy talk coming straight at you. And when leaders start tying national prosperity directly to crypto adoption, it shifts the entire tone of the debate. Suddenly, digital assets aren't just speculation. They're framed as a national priority. So let's try to connect the dots right here. Wall Street is filing ETFs, not for thousands of coins, but for a handful that matter. XRP is one of them. Politicians are openly endorsing blockchain adoption as part of America's future growth strategy. Regulators are holding hearing after hearing, pushing for clearer framework to integrate crypto into the mainstream system. And former top banking executives are going on record saying any institution that ignores blockchain is basically signing its own death certificate. Can't you see this pattern? This isn't hype anymore. This is inevitability. Now let's look at XRP's unique future, because this isn't about being the next Bitcoin or Ethereum. XRP was built for something entirely different. Global payments, real-time cross-border institutional level settlement. Think about it. Global payments are a 250 trillion market, and within that, 30 trillion flows through real-time settlement. That's not just a niche. That's bloodstream of the global economy. Now here's where it gets wild. The XRP ledger isn't just fast, it's final. Transactions settle in seconds, not days. They cost fractions of a penny, not hundreds of dollars. And they operate 24/7, 365 days a year. No holidays, no downtime, pure efficiency. That's why banks, corporates, and even central banks are quietly testing Ripple's rails right now, because they know the old system's collapsing under its own weight. They just won't admit it yet until they have everything in line. So let's picture this. Picture this with me. A European bank needs to settle with an Asian bank. In the old system, that means days of delays, piles of fees, and a chain of intermediaries. With XRP as the bridge, settlement is instant, cheap, and final. That's not theory. That's live, right now. Ripple's evolving continues to evolve before our eyes. But it doesn't stop there. Ripple isn't just providing payment rails anymore. They're already stepping into a role once reserved for the IMF or central banks, providing liquidity and credit at a global scale. So case in point, Ripple recently extended a credit facility to a major exchange, backed by XRP and Ripple's own stablecoin, RLUSD. That's Ripple positioning itself as the lender of last resort in the digital economy. Think about how massive that is. We're watching a private company evolve into infrastructure that could underpin the next 50 years of finance. So as more regulatory clarity comes in, now here's why this broadcast matters even more. Because as these moves are happening, the global financial plumbing is being upgraded. By the end of 2025, ISO 20022 compliance is expected to cover 90% of all global payments. Let that sink in, 90%. And guess who's at the table shaping those standards right now? Ripple, XRP. That means the rails are being built in real time, and XRP is sitting right at the center. Let's pause here, because the temptation is to think this is someday, but the truth is it's already unfolding in our eyes. Wall Street's filing ETFs now. Politicians are speaking right now. Central banks are testing now. Ripple is executing now. This is no longer a question of if, it's only a question of how fast this will happen. So here's the kicker of this. Every new central bank digital currency that launches, it adds to the demand for interoperability. Without XRP acting as the universal bridge, the world ends up with dozens of isolated silos that cannot communicate with each other. That's a nightmare for trade and finance. With XRP in the middle, those silos connect seamlessly. That's why Ripple is in active talks with central banks worldwide. They're not just building for one country, they're building for the entire global economy. So let's come back to where we started, ladies and gentlemen. Our broadcast went live that changed everything. A top financial leader made it crystal clear. Digital assets are here to stay, and only a select few are positioned to dominate. XRP was on that list. Combine that with politicians framing crypto as America's future, regulators writing the rulebook, and banking titans admitting blockchain adoption survival, and suddenly it all clicks into place. This isn't random, this is coordinated, and it's all pointing in one direction. XRP is the backbone of the next financial system. If this opened your eyes, smash that like button, leave a comment with your thoughts, and most importantly, subscribe to the Crypto Republic. This is the only channel bringing you the truth about XRP, global banking moves, and the wealth transfer already unfolding. Don't just watch history happen. Stay informed, stay ahead, and stay in the Republic.